477 Chestnut Avenue.
Well, I think it's maybe out of order.
4NR to 5AR.
Should be on the addendum portion.
Oh, okay.
Talks about building now.
Again, I did not pull that, so I yield to council if anyone else pulled it.
477 Chestnut Avenue.
I didn't have a precedent to it. Okay, so you guys move it forward. Thank you.
No problem, sir. Correct. Mr. Morgan, I'm sorry. What was that one that was part of what?
Was East State Street location.
4 HR. I have a motion on the table to move 4 HR and 4. Was that one 4? OR and Eastern.
Yes, so moved.
Seconded by Mr. Long. Call for roll, Michael.
Roll call, Mr. Fay?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Latif?
Yes.
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 Yes. Now, on the one we put a hold on, we want to set the clerk's office. We'll talk about the language in regards to the law department. It's an invitation for these licenses to come before the council with regards to dealing with issues around a particular establishment. Is that's what we're saying, ladies and gentlemen?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I have to request that when it comes to the council, at least give them a heads up. One of the things I'm looking for in my ward is the loitering, interfering with business, and trash.
So that's not a part of this. I'm not looking at it. That's not a part of the resolution.
It should be, but I'm having problems.
All right.
I mean, I don't want to single anybody out of the city because I'm having some difficulty. So we need a special condition.
Okay. Legal was saying that will cover it, and then we'll just bring it up when we have it. Because if it's in the order, if it's in the resolution,
Okay.
all we're just going to do is exercise the resolution. I think that's what
So I'm looking for special conditions.
additional.
Yeah.
Okay.
But those are the things we're going to be discussing. I just think it's a good idea to get more clear.
Well, with regard to the special conditions on that one, I mean, that's to be more specific. But it should be universal to all of them, so they all have conditions in their license, correct? All those licenses, for the most part, should have some sort of condition on it. I'm pretty sure most of them did, and if they did, okay. All right, Madam Clerk, any other additional business on it? I think you have an order. You have regular resolution on 5 o'clock.
5 ER, the resolution authorizing.
Did we 5 either? No, okay.
Resolution authorizing the approval of interlocal agreement between the city council and the Mercer County Cleaning Authority for curbside collection of recyclable waste for the term of August 1st, 2007 through June 30th, 2008.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
So this is a renewal of a 1-year agreement for MCI to pick up city recycling?
Yes, in fact, it's a renewal. We're coming to the end of a 3-year term,
Right.
and they are now picking up a 1-year term so that the year following the 14th day will be on the calendar year after the next final year.
That's the couple of trying to get all the money. Are we getting actually, when is it like a 2 or 3 year contract? You want to do a 1 year now?
1 year now.
That's 1 year for everyone involved in the radio program.
That's correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
At some point, I'd like to see the savings that this program has that we would pursue.
Okay, moved by Mr. Moore.
Mr. Davis?
Please.
Mr. Fay?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Latif?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
5 FR
happens when one comes when a pipe bursts and the water doesn't go in the sewer system?
Yes, we bring these, maybe one or two every 2 months or so. The converse side to that is we probably get an excess of 50 to 60 requests every month. And upon our investigation, we find very few that actually do not go into the sewer system. And when they don't, we bring forth these type of resolutions.
Let me ask you a question. If you're using water and it's not going into the sewer system, you're going to charge for it. Is that it?
When we're made aware and we investigate, that's correct.
When I fill up my pool, you charge me almost $1,000.
Yeah,
That didn't go in the sewer system. I have a little wedding pool.
I saw a swimming pool with a whole lot of water in it.
The little size.
You gotta make John laugh.
Sorry,
you
I'm out and check it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I also have a constituent here who has the same problem. We'll meet with you.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to say yes. Without the pool.
Moved by Mr. Bethea. Roll call, Mr. Bethea.
Yes.
Mr. Bloom.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
5GL, an ordinance to amend and supplement chapter 14 traffic involving Montgomery Street, 50 feet south of East State Street to 70 feet south thereof.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
For the record, with regards to this ordinance, and supplemental traffic, what do you propose for Montgomery?
Keep it that one, sir. I had that once in memory. Or I have a document. I'll put that one in there. Thank you.
Mr. President, this is to establish a loading zone on Broad Street. Should be the Broad Street Bank. The Broad Street Bank building on Montgomery Street, a loading zone that will allow for temporary parking for those who would have residence or business to do in the old Broad Street Bank, to have opportunity to go in as parking is an issue in that area. We put in a loading zone that would allow temporary parking, not long-term parking, and we're working in conjunction with the police department to ensure that folks who utilize that space to be able to run either groceries in or transit business in and out will not have sustained and long-term parking there. But because there's no available parking on those corners, Broad at Montgomery, this will establish that loading zone that will allow folks temporary parking to go in and out of that new building.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Temporary.
Yes.
Temporary, how long?
I believe it. I would have to get back to you. I believe it's a 20-minute parking time zone that allows people to be able to take in groceries or vendor to go in and do something short-term, not to establish long-term. If it's something where they're going to be in for a vendor in particular, 20 minutes or longer, they're going to have to park somewhere in the designated area and then come back and forth. But they will be able to drop off material, come back to the vehicle and move it.
I'd like to talk to you about most of the sidewalks for the highway.
Yes.
Not now.
Okay. We'll do it.
Thank you. Mr. Dick, you said?
Mr. President, Commerce Bank also has the same issue with respect to time, and I'd like to ask if you would consider the same for Commerce Bank, because folks right here on East State and Warren, Commerce Bank, I mean, if you want people to use the bank, they got to be able to get in it. But you would also allow the same courtesy to the bank, I would appreciate it.
We'll look at it for lunch.
Thank you, Mr. Day.
If I can add one more question, maybe might be Mr. Davis around Mr. Cooper. Yes, sir. Is the elimination of a loading dock. Short Greenwood Avenue?
Yes.
Okay. Short Greenwood Avenue? Corner of Broad and Short Greenwood, across from the parking lot. That's the new condominium. What line, Northwood, South?
Ball. Ball. No ball. No ball.
Right. Right.
What's the big on that?
Because I understand ticket, people are ticketed for
in
parking.
that area.
People are ticketed for parking.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying more of the question whether or not do we need that there or not.
See, but the tricky part is though, you have residents, that require, that want people to not park there. And then that's what we have a problem with. When you go down to the civic association, then what they say, you have all these business people who are parking there, taking up their spot. And you have a class of residents
Versus the business.
So now, I was going to ask you that. Do you have the same criteria for business as you do for residents?
Yes, and we balance that based on the demand of who's there, and that's like looking at the request from Councilwoman Marti. Because it's predominantly a business area where she's requesting hers, I think it's going to be fairly simple to do that, where sure Greenwood is going to be a little more complicated because we have to balance those in the area with the residential and business mix.
Yeah, but I think the one question is there's no loading. There's no loading or unloading or offloading at this particular
location
on Short Greenway at all. It's just but yet
well,
coaches
Parking lot across the street.
right.
private lot.
Yeah, right.
So
But
I
he
think
owns
he owns that
property.
property.
The individual in the apartment on that property.
When we will do investigations, President, we'll investigate still the validity of the request from the time when it may have been instituted. I know a lot of the businesses there may not still be active, so we'll evaluate it and still validate whether or not it has standing. If it does, we'll leave it. If not, we'll, if you're requesting formally to have it removed, we'll do that. But
No, I'm not. No, that wasn't required. That wasn't
When
required.
you do your investigation or assessment, just make sure, as you said, you're going to balance that out. That resident and that the business.
And before we do anything, if you want us to look at it, we'll sit down and talk about it before we make any adjustments.
Yes, that was.
All right, we'll do it. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Make sure. Oh, second. Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. That's a word, so. Alright, so before I move into public comment, I'll make that last one. But Mr. Finley, you hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can get the line for a second. Mr. Civic Matters, I really want to see the record. Motion to go on Civic Matters, is that it?
What you?
A public comment, excuse me. The public comment, is that okay?
Yes.
Is there a second to that?
Yes.
Alright, public comment. Anyone wishing to address council may do so at this time by showing of hands. Please state your name and address for the record. We'll start to my right and we'll look around that person. Ms. Blakely, please state your name and address for the record, please. Thank you.
Jocelyn Blakely, 15 Bell Street, Trenton, New Jersey.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple of issues. Maybe senior centers can go under works because they seem to have the money. We don't seem to have the money for the senior centers. They're going to close our center tomorrow because of the air conditioning. And I've been talking about this air conditioning for a while now before council. Those folks don't want to go somewhere else. Number one is the parking. Anywhere else that folks could drive. You know, there's no real parking anywhere else but at the Reading Center. And the people at the Reading Center, they stay there until it's time to close because they're enjoying what they're doing. And I just think that something really needs to be done about that air conditioning. And I don't think that the center should have to shut down because of it. And if it does, I want to know how long is it going to be shut down to fix this area. And I would like some kind of response to that. And the other thing that I want to talk about is the streets. There are there's been a lot of repair on MLK Boulevard, cuts and paving, and it really looks good. But God, there is so much more on that street that needs to be done there and Pennington Avenue. It's like riding the cobblestone streets in my hometown of Pittsburgh. And then you look at
the cutouts that they've made for access for wheelchairs and carriages and stuff, they really look good. But what I don't understand, why was only some of them done on MLK Boulevard and not all of them? And is it planned for the rest of them to be done? Because it really looks awkward to see some of them really looking nice and others looking like that. So those are my questions.
Thank you. That's children's first. Mr. Gart, are you aware
Yes.
of the problems with the Ready Center?
Yes. I am. I spoke with the Director Pucciati about a week or 10 days ago. We discussed it. He is aware. He's going to be ordering a new air conditioning system. The one in there is extremely old. And it doesn't, it's unfixable, actually.
Well, I understand this, but they've known this since last year before last.
I don't have a timeline on installation. I will ask him tomorrow and get an answer back to you.
Let me check. I got some experience. Talk about Mr. Long. Is the contingency, and I don't know Mr. Fuller, from a contingency standpoint, you have to evacuate that building because
That, I'm not sure of that.
Okay. Is this full up? Is this full building? Scott?
I don't think she's in today.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll come back. Mr. Beck.
Younger.
We're good.
But great.
Yes, sir.
You know what, Ms. Stranglebaum, you can't answer my questions. I will be giving to the
Okay.
Mr. Long, yes,
The
sir.
only question I have is there any type of emergency allocation funds that can be used to replace that unit?
I have set aside some capital funds to do it. That's just part of our discussion. So
Okay, we do have the funds available.
Yeah.
It's the thing of getting the
It's
unit
getting
in
it
there.
done, yeah. And that's really what I need to then run down on what the timeline is and how involved we will to replace the air conditioning in the Ready Center. So hopefully I'll have an answer for you within the next day or so. Okay?
I really appreciate it. And if it's going to be shut down, once you find out how long, please.
Yes.
Because people say they'll just stay home. They're not going to go anywhere else.
Sure, well,
if
in
they
this
can't
weather,
go
I
there.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. That's about, ballpark figure, that's about what, $150,000 unit or?
No.
That's what, a unit to adequately secure.
No, I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $70,000-$75,000.
Leon, on the flip side of that question, I'm sorry. Yes, sir, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to piggyback on that. Madam,
Yes.
do we have any type of mechanism in place that we can monitor, senior center to find out once in a while, what these folks, need? Because, which I'm going to share with you, I just had a list of a number of things from Lapinski that they need, and they're just basic things. It's about 10 to 15 items that one way or the other, they just too old, not being fixed. And I wonder, how often do we visit the center to find out what these folks, need in general, not just, senior center in general, do we have anything in place like that? That come back to you and say, this is what we need, we need so much, or we don't need much?
It generally comes back to me through the capital budget. The capital budget are requests made by the department. That request for senior improvements could either come through the Department of Health and Human Services or the Department of Inspection, Rising 2 Routes, or Public Works, for that matter. So it all comes together generally around this time. In fact, I've requested information from all of the department directors for the capital budget this year, and hopefully I'll have a capital budget for introduction in August.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'm not asking you personally. Maybe, James, you can not just the director, but maybe send someone over there and say, okay, let's take a look at what is here.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we know that we have difficulties trying to adapt the center because some of the legalities, okay, and I understand that, but also, I like to also work with administration somehow, so way that if we find some type of mechanism that we can, let's say something is missing as any center, and that we can get it from someplace out, whether via donation or whatever,
Right.
that we can give it to them too because they need it.
Right.
I'd like to find that out, please.
All right. So you really want an inventory?
Yes, please.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Paddington, last thing. Ms. Blakely has been up to me up here, looking at this point for about a year or two. Is it the city itself, like as a homeowner, I have a tendency to check my air conditioning unit in the spring and my heating unit in the fall.
Right.
But do the city has a tendency to do that, especially for the seniors and the senior citizens centers?
You need to check out
Yeah, check out
systems.
the system before
Yeah.
they're trying to get the foot online, so to speak.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's done. To some degree, it is with the heating, certainly. But with the air conditioning, unless there's some specific problem, generally, I think they're just cleaned perhaps if it's needed and then turned on. I know with regard to the air conditioning at the Reading Center, I know that it has been in poor condition for a long while. One of the problems was, finding money to get it done. We found some the capital budget, and we are going to do it. It's more a question of how quickly it can get done. So that much I can tell you. I know it's a priority. I told Director Cucciati to make it a priority. So I just need to get a timeline for it.
Thank you.
Well, I think you can have.
Yes, ma'am.
President, I'd like to recommend that you make it an emergency. Okay, sure. Make it an emergency, and in that way, you can go out, get it done, and you can push out
Is that like an emergency road?
That's like an emergency
water
road
sewer line?
paving, emergency water break, make this an emergency. That's
I think
number
that's what
one.
you got it for.
Number two, Mr. President,
Yes, I got
I'd like
you.
to ask, as I have in the past, that we do a little bit more, to work with and for our seniors. And by that I mean, we need to establish a foundation for these types of issues so that the process for seniors securing what they need for these buildings and their homes will go a lot smoother. Because typically when it comes to a senior or city-owned building, there's too much red tape. And I'm asking you to get ahead of that game so that we can be proactive when issues present. All right? When an air conditioner breaks in a senior citizen building, it's not a bid issue, it's an emergency. When it's cold, it's an emergency. If the services aren't being handled efficiently and effectively to meet the needs of the senior citizens, it's an emergency. Emergency by definition means it has to be done immediately. Okay? So I'm just asking that you look, you're going to have to think outside the box, be a little bit more creative. Our biggest challenge is typically money. I'm not a big supporter of capital projects of this nature because of the life on the project. So I was just asking the future Mr. President, we're looking to the capital budget for emergencies, that we set up something so that for air conditioners and things like that you can avoid a capital issue. Okay? Thank you.
I have one more comment, please,
Can I?
if I can,
Yes,
if I
ma'am.
may. Go ahead. You just let me.
No, go ahead. Yes,
No,
ma'am, go ahead.
I'll yield.
Okay, the other thing that I want to say, last week, I thanked the school for having the Y come in and exercise with the seniors. And they come in on Wednesday. Well, guess what? That was Tuesday, Wednesday they didn't show up, and this Wednesday they're not going to be there. The seniors look forward to this. They're really excited about this exercising that we're doing once a week. And it makes me feel like, hey, if I come in here and speak, then something not good happens. I'm serious. This is how I'm feeling. And so please, tell me that I'm wrong in my thoughts here. Because this is what it looks like.
Well, I know the Trenton Rising has an exercise program. I met the young lady who presents the college practice. They're excited about
Go
something
ahead.
happening. I guess they signed a division on contract. So, are you familiar with this business? Is that a contract? Are we having a agreement with them?
Yeah, they've done a memorandum of understanding.
All right. Now, if they didn't show up, I would hate to think that if someone from Recreation and Human Services said, don't go down to the Reading Senior Center today because someone spoke up.
I would hate to think that, but it just so happened that they didn't show up last Wednesday.
If we can find out why they didn't show up for the record. Just one, I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Pintal, just one thing I wanted to touch base on, and I just actually said the same thing to Jane here quietly, but, thinking back to when I got on council, people raved about programs the city had for senior citizens, the recreation the city had for senior citizens. And Jackie, I don't want you to feel that you're the only one that comes in and complains. You're the one that physically comes here. But as Mr. Segura said, going to the center at Lipinski, and I can tell you from the calls I get from individuals from Sam Naples also, and the calls I've had to place to Director School also for either lack of equipment, lack of recreational activities. It seems that the suburbs are getting way ahead of us as far as offering different programs for their seniors that also I've brought to Director School's attention, and they've gone as far as, I guess, the desk at this point because I haven't heard anything else. In addition to reevaluating the facilities, as it's been requested here, and the equipments within, I think we need to reevaluate that whole department and do more for our seniors. At one point, we were doing a lot for our seniors, and I see a head shaking across the room over there. Now, a couple of heads are starting to shake, and it seems that we're really falling behind. Remember, they are their golden years. A large portion of our middle-class tax base in the city is senior citizens that want to remain in the homes that they worked for.
Yes.
It would be nice if we could assist them in remaining in their homes and offering them recreational activities here in the city rather than utilizing those in the suburbs. And I do know that a lot of our seniors now are going to the suburbs for some of their programs. And, Mr. Frisbee has pretty much brought a lot of new ideas into our recreational programs here in the city of Trenton for our young people. I think we need to do that also and re-energize our senior division for our senior citizens. And remember the contributions they've made to make this city.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yes.
I'm sorry, we didn't add that part of it. Mr. Jackson, in regards to the streets, the curb cuts, along MLK, are they being completed, or just a portion of them, or we had contractually with that?
We're on a multi-year plan to have all the curb cuts in the city done. We're putting out the contract in phases, and we're probably in the third or maybe the sixth-part contract right now. So we're trying to, in every ward, make sure that we're having the new insulation for curb cuts done in every ward. So there are some streets where you'll see maybe half the street done or three-quarters of the street done, but we'll come back so that we can spread the money across the entire city for the curb cut that we're mandated to do for those, and under short order, all the curb cuts will be done. There was a priority listing that I'll have with me for how that was to be done by our contractors. And then, as a part of the street paving project, MLK is on our list. It's not on for this year. Kennington Avenue and Lawrence Park has been done, and we have a couple of segments that will be done this year to take care of that. MLK is one of the streets that we are working on. Beverly Travel, we're giving thought to next year how we'll attack doing that because it's on our short list. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Please take the name of that, Mr. Jackson.
I wasn't going to say anything. Patricia Stewart, 679 Lambert Street.
Yes, ma'am.
To reiterate what Mrs. Blakey said, a problem that this city has long had that I've noticed in the last 20 years is an inability to take care of things that they have. So we have an air conditioner that has died. Mrs. Blakey has been talking about it for quite a while. You get the air conditioner fixed before it becomes an emergency. Right now, I certainly hope you're looking at the various heating systems because people don't need them right now. As far as closing down the Reading Center, that's interesting because many years ago, we had an air conditioner die at 612 South Broad. And someone came running in. Granted, it was a county project. We were told, gee, too bad, open a window. No one said, oh, go home. So I don't see why the center has to be closed to install an air conditioner. You're not removing asbestos. As far as what the Honorable Mr. Malone said, the seniors have paid their dues. And if they want something, I really think they should get it. And as she said, she's been talking about this air conditioner for quite a while now. It should have been done. Now, I know air conditioners are not cheap, but they don't cost that much either. So, especially if you have enough time, you send it out to bid, you can negotiate. So I certainly hope people take that into consideration. And if there's a complaint, by the way, start looking at those heating systems now when no one cares if their furnace is working, so you don't have crises in December. So, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of City Council. My name is Dion Clark, the East Ward, the Wilbur section. First of all, Mr. President, members of council, Saturday in the newspaper, Trenton Times, they had about 5 pages worth of properties being lost for taxes. There was a gentleman that came through Walnut Avenue Sunday morning taking pictures of different properties, saying that the city is getting ready to auction off 580 properties. It's a lot of properties. Could I get a figure of how much money is owed to the city in back taxes? Is it a channel, a way that I could go about finding out, Mr. President? Because it's got to be millions of dollars that is owed to this city.
Let me go back to the first statement. You said some 500 city property.
The gentleman came through Walnut Avenue Sunday taking pictures. He said 580 pieces of property is going on auction or for sale for back taxes. That's what he said.
Okay, let me see if I can respond to your first part of the question. To my knowledge, there hasn't been nothing to come across this table with the number of 500 public properties being auctioned off. Not
Mr. President, this is the tax sale that's done at the end of June every year. The properties that are delinquent this year.
Okay,
So
back
tax. I'm not sure how many it's whittled down to. It's over a period of 5 weeks. I know, this is strictly the tax sale for city property.
Are these tax liens?
The sheriff's sale may be something else. This is strictly the tax sale.
Are these tax sales?
Yes, the properties that are taxed.
Let's make sure that we understand what you're saying. Now, I kind of recall what Mr. Clark was talking about. There were a list of lots of properties in the city. About a week and a half ago, taxes owed on them.
Right. This is taxes owed on city properties.
Correct.
That are going to go into lien if they don't pay their taxes.
Correct.
Okay? This is something we do every year. We're required by law to do.
Notify make public notice.
It's like a 5-week process where it's advertised in the paper. People can come in and either pay off the taxes or they become part of the tax sale. If someone can buy the taxes.
Of the tax lien.
Yes. Yeah. So they go into lien if they don't pay taxes.
I got it.
Okay.
Just like you started listening.
I thought you were going to explain it to me. You said part one of my question, and then you guys.
Oh, I wanted to make sure I had a clarification with regards to you said 500 properties were going to be auctioned off.
Well, that's what the gentleman said. He's standing out in the middle street taking pictures of these properties.
I'm just responding to what you just said.
Okay, yes. And I'm saying what was told to me Sunday morning.
And I was...
Okay.
All right. There's no 500 tax properties being auctioned off by the city of Trenton.
It's not in the auction.
I'm
It's
using the
really
word
a tax
Mr. Clark
sale
brought
process.
before. There's no 500 properties that have been brought before the council for public auction.
Yeah, I don't know what the bottom line is,
Okay.
but I can get you, how much the taxes are worth and how many properties actually are in the sale. I think the sale is today and tomorrow.
Well, let me ask you guys this question. Then. How many, if it ain't 580 pieces of property, how many would you say it is in the city of Trenton?
I don't know. There was a lot listed in the newspaper that day I saw it.
that are going to be auctioned or that are lien?
Well, the paper said taxes and lien, and this gentleman was taking pictures, so they getting ready to lose it for taxes. I'm only going by what he knows, because I don't know about real estate now.
Give you the information on tax liens and give you the information on what properties will be available for auction. What's happening today and tomorrow? Okay, what I asked her to do getting what's going to be auctioned, because you have some that's probably coming up or that are gone, and giving the tax liens as well. That way you have both pieces of information.
Good question.
Right.
Yeah.
I think for the clarification, at least for the council, we just authorized the public auction. Now, if the county forecloses on those forecloses, and they may actually do some auctions, that's on the county.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on the county, but that would be a bank saying that, we're giving up our property, or we want to go to foreclosure, and, we have the right to sell it.
Okay.
It's on a person. But the city can't auction off public property like in this body, and I think there was only like 70 some odd properties. So I don't even know what the disposition of that. If you have
I don't know what the disposition
like, you can let us know how that actually went a couple weeks ago.
Well, if it's nothing but 70, that's a lot of properties, and who's going to buy those 70 properties? That's a lot, 70 properties.
That's what I'm asking.
Because maybe one certain individual or a group of certain individuals are going to buy those 70 properties. Still a lot of properties, 70 pieces of properties. In the city of Trenton, this small town, that's a lot.
Mr. President, just to piggyback on in the research that I'm doing for the committee for the affordable housing issue, I just finished my pie chart and percentages on multiple housing. And right now, once my numbers are wrong, I'm showing at 47%.
You said multiple housing? Multi-families?
Yes, multi-families.
Okay.
Now, what I'd like to ask, Mr. President, because we're on this topic, is that this council, when we come back, when we reconvene for full sessions in September, that we review our ordinance for multiple dwellings, different taxes that we need. And we also need to ask inspections and make a public service announcement and plea to the city for residents who see people doing multi-dwellings to report them. If they're legitimate, it's not an issue. If they're not, then it's got it. Okay? And I don't care who it is.
I can go on to my next question. Mr. President, over on Walnut Avenue, we're having a serious problem with the firecrackers, and something bad's going to happen. The cops went there the other night and got on them about the firecrackers, but that was at 1:30 in the morning. From the time it got dark up until 1:30 in the morning, they carried on with the firecrackers, so we didn't get no peace until 1:30. And something needs to be done. They're throwing them, they're hitting people's cars. I see you had a little tragedy over there on Spring Street.
It's clearly against the law. It's clearly against the law. Pennsylvania is advertising in New Jersey. Literally. It's all business, it's all marketing. Company down in South Jersey, take the money, they put a billboard up, let you go 2 miles across the bridge, purchase products.
Well, is there anything that the city, the police going to do about it here in Trenton?
The best thing I can tell you to do is contact the police officers and see the activity going on, because it is illegal. It's illegal, and it's not just an issue here in Trenton. It's throughout every municipality here in the
That's a good one.
Yes, sir.
Just a recommendation, Mr. President. I don't know if we have any jurisdiction over this. I guess it's a legal question. Since we do license, and I believe it's through the planning board, if I'm not mistaken, also billboards in the city, if they are advertising in our city items for purchase that are illegal in the city, can we ban them from advertising them on our billboards?
I would go to one step further. Well, it's not our billboard.
Well,
billboards.
not our billboards.
But what I would do,
There are billboards in our city that we license.
I would go one step further. If you ask legal research, suing with regards to your advertising an illegal product in our municipality.
Probably we would have to notify them first that it's not permitted, and then if they did no, they're not permitted to advertise the product. We don't have anything in
That's common sense.
I'm
Can you please look into that, because I would bet that it's not in the current agreement that we have with them, for the billboards. And if it isn't, if it can be placed in there legally.
Cocaine on demand.
I would, we can go one step further. And, I hate to put this out publicly, but this last city, in the conversation with the police director, why don't you have them do some undercover? We know where the place is going to purchase, right across the street.
Smoking Joe's.
And if we see cars over there purchasing and they bring them across the bridge, we pull them over. State police is doing it, and if they get in cars in the city, pull them over. But we know for a fact, and from observation based on, because they are dangerous. They're dangerous to have, dangerous to you, and folks who are not professionals on that.
Thank you.
One last question, Mr. Somebody else. About the rental board that I did the research. I gave you guys a copy of it last week. Mr. Zach Chester did the research for me. I gave you guys a copy of it. Who are the members of that board?
It's listed, I'll have to get it from you.
Will it take you guys long to get it? Maybe by the 19th of July you have it for me? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. President, go step further and put it in the mail for tomorrow.
You have to get his address. He didn't state it for the record. He said, well,
What street again?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please take your
Yeah.
address for the record, please.
Paul Harris, 137 Center Street. I have a few questions. I don't know if you want to just go through it. Someone during the campaign had mentioned the idea of an artist laureate for the city of Trenton. I'm not sure if this got off the ground. It'd be nice to have a person of color who is extreme. I guess any person, but a person of color really, who is talented, an artist who would be a role model for our young people, because a lot of these young people do have skills, despite what people think. Are talented, and it'd be interesting to see if we had someone who city council could endorse, and really the paper could do an interview on, a profile on, and our kids, young people, could see that here's a person of color who is the artist laureate of the city, and here's what he or she has done for the city. Maybe even give them a section of the city where they could, we got a lot of pavement, a lot of campuses across the country. I think it's one of the colleges in Philadelphia. What they do is they have the college kids actually paint the sidewalks. Now, we don't want to dirty up our sidewalks, but there are things you could do. Like at the college in New Jersey, we can paint the walls, different things in our towers. So, we could put these kids to use. That's my first question. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Malloy?
Malloy, the artist, was named. And so we just need to follow up with your contact.
Oh, so there is an artist, and it was publicized. Okay, I'm slow. He is, okay. Well, thank you. Okay. Okay. Thank you. My next question. Is Trenton in a position to have its police officers deputized as federal immigration officers? And this would gain the ability... And this would gain the ability to check suspects' immigration status and charge them with civil immigration violations and order them to appear at federal immigration. We do have a large Hispanic population, not to say that they're all immigrants, but a town, I think it was Marshtown, New Jersey, was the first town in the state of New Jersey that has now deputized their agents to be federal immigration officers. Is this something that we can do? Is this something that's been considered in a city with a rising Hispanic population, most who are probably underground? That's my next question.
Short answer is probably no. We haven't looked at that.
Is that something that we can, that can be looked at? Is that something that's feasible? Cost?
That's a very hot issue.
Well,
We've had INS.
Mr. President, it might be a hot issue, but it's an issue that the federal government hasn't been able to deal with appropriately.
That's right.
And I'd like to recommend just at this time that perhaps council might want to convene a group to examine immigration and how we can best deal with it. But I don't want to be in a position of deputizing anybody to arrest anybody. The federal government hasn't been able to deal with it.
Yeah.
And although it's an issue presenting, it's an issue that has to be dealt with a clear focus, and it has to be goal-oriented to achieve the results that's best for all involved. Especially the community that's impacted. But dealing with people.
This is it, yes, sir.
Mr. President, Mr. Harris, in many instances, what the municipalities are encouraging their police officers not to get involved on that level because that is a federal mandate. They're doing that because they do not want the population to exclude themselves from the police department.
Exactly.
Because many of these individuals are victims.
Yes, sir.
As a prime example, when a lot of them do not trust banks and carry large sums of cash, and so a lot of undesirable citizens there, like walking ATM machines. So that will be kind of a very hot, using my colleagues' definition. That would be a hot issue, and it would be unfair to that population, especially if they're being victimized, and then they're being victimized on both fronts. But and I don't think that is the role of our police department at this point in time.
Okay.
And Mr. Shigura actually passed a resolution if you want to.
Mr. Harris.
Yes, sir.
Before you came to visit us, we have passed, not only the mayor did pass a second the board, to make sure that is, because I tell you what, you take one single police officer right now, and you take them a whole bunch of money for a single one, just to go and train them to understand the ramification of what that's all about. Immigration issues are, from here to Washington, D.C. And perhaps, because of the same explanation that the council person just gave you, Mr. Rafael, we did pass a resolution to make sure that these people, and not only those people, but because there were some inconveniences between the police and just ordinary citizens in the city council, so that everybody be treated fair. We all agree right here that we pass a resolution that our police officers do not get involved in such a thing, because you know what? As it is right now, we don't have enough police officers to go around to protect,
Yes, sir.
all of this, and I say they're going to talk about it, just to do the ordinary thing to protect our citizens right now. And now we're going to compare our department or the immigration department.
I understand.
So
Yes, sir.
it would be an immense type of work.
Okay. My next question is, has the city adopted an action plan to bring municipal facilities into ADA compliance? I mean, for example, if someone who had a wheelchair wanted to come to city council meeting, now I'm not sure of the entire building, but I mean, some municipalities, what they do is they have to carry these folks in. Some schools have to carry these folks up the stairs in different places. I want to know, is there a percentage of our buildings, facilities that we own, city owns, how many of these are wheelchair accessible? And, if a handicapped person wanted to get into the building, would they have to struggle? If so, if I was in a wheelchair, do I have to get on the phone and call someone to get into the building? Or is there a ramp that I should be able to get up? That's my question, and I would like to be able to know a percentage of the buildings that are done and that are ADA compliant. I have two more questions after this. My other question is, has the city created and distributed a list of city-owned properties available for redevelopment with information such as block, lot, address, lot dimension, and zoning?
Yes.
There is. Okay. There's a list available. Okay. My last question is the one with regards I posed last week with regards to the resolution that was passed. I would like to know if because Mr. Locke was on vacation, I called Denise, but she hasn't responded. City Attorney, with regards to the Board of School estimates and the resolution that was passed on July of 2006. I need to know an answer with regards to if the actions that were taken on it, whether they were goodwill or not, the actions that were taken while you guys were members of that board, if you voted, if you passed school budgets, whatever you did, if they can be challenged, since City Council did not expressly consent through resolution to give you guys authority to be on that board since they expired. I hope tonight that you guys will divide up these committees or these commissions and you guys will be appointed to those, but I want to know about that. You've had a week and a half to ask and answer this question, and I called Lofton today, and I'm going to call Lucille tomorrow, so I would like to get an answer today from someone here. Davies, she's the Commissioner of Education. Lofton, and I called the board secretary, and of course they all run around, they all work for each other, so Yes. So, the handicap and the resolution. I need those two answers.
Yes, Mr. President. City Hall in particular, but all city buildings are handicap accessible for those that need public access. Specifically, building the folks come here for the first time who don't know the building. Most times they will call and tell them where a handicap ramp, accessible ramp is to gain access to City Hall and to the media to gain access to the floor, including this particular conference room. Any other buildings that we do have public access to for the public, I will say to the best of my knowledge, most of them are ADA accessible. For those that are not, and I'm not sure there are any for the record, any information that would be for the public domain would be made accessible to anyone who did not have access to it, which would need the ADA accommodation and standards.
But for the record, ADA is not optional.
I'm sorry.
It's not optional.
That's correct. Where there is public need to gain access, and that's where the differential that sometimes the public doesn't understand, particularly because the question is relative to all city buildings. All city buildings aren't domain for the city to gain access to, for the public to gain access.
Meaning like a garage in the park. Something like that.
That's correct. So that one would not be.
So that wouldn't necessarily.
That's correct.
For instance, LSU would be.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
That's discussion for another day, because ADA is mandatory.
Obviously, public access.
Right, but also for employment, if you have an individual that is wheelchair bound,
The standard requires accommodation. As long as you can accommodate, you're within the standard of the law. The buildings are owned by the city. I would have to check. I don't know off the top of my head. I would check. Could I have general access to the main floor of the library? May not be check. I will check. Sure will. Thank you.
Your last question. I'm sorry, repeat that. That had to do with school.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Bly, the city attorney is here. I just would like to know if the actions that were taken while you guys were on this school board of estimate can be challenged. It's a simple question.
Anything can be challenged.
I mean, is there?
What action are you referring to?
Did you, in fact, sit on the school board of estimate between July 2006 and the present day?
Yes.
Did you vote on actions?
Yes.
You did, okay. But there was no express resolution passed by this council that authorized you to do such. So my question is, I'm glad you guys did and you went and supported the community. Good for that. But can that be challenged if someone went up and said, you know what, statute-wise, I'm asking, this woman here is the lawyer of the city and she can answer.
You just made it, you gave it an open question. Can you challenge it? I said anything can be challenged. If you feel like you want to challenge it, yes.
Okay, now, from a legal perspective, can it be challenged?
Yes.
No one's seen anything.
So I just found the resolution and looked at the resolution today, and I still would need some input from the respective persons at the district school board and the school district, so I can answer that. And sometimes when I ask for it, you need a coming from my office to read it, and the opinion is you would have to do that. Once you get all the information, I don't have it.
Nothing. She didn't say nothing.
Companies are going to represent 250 of the board, mayor and two school board members. So anything that we would have done or would not have done would pass unanimously, and a majority of our
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to ask that we can bring an opinion
No problem.
and guide and direct us in decisions. It's a legitimate question,
No problem.
begs to be answered, so let's just get the opinion.
Not a problem.
Okay? All right?
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to this question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. You didn't have nothing to say, Ms. Perry? You want to?
Yeah, she will go ahead and I'll follow.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Rose Lombardo, 134 North Street.
You said again, Ms. Rose
Rose Lombardo, Lombardo.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want a stop sign, if I can really get it. It's on the corner of Miller Street and Nassau.
North Ward?
because they come up real fast from Dexter, and they don't even stop. They just blink and then they go right on by. You know,
Is that a four-way?
excuse me?
I said, is that a four? I'm thinking, is that a
It's
four-way
across.
stop?
It's across, but it's not for
Miller Street runs this way. Dexter runs. Nashville runs that way. They come up Nashville, up toward north. Yeah, and they don't even stop to look or anything. I've sat on my porch and I've seen them, and they go like heck.
Mr. Jackson, yes, sir?
They're speeding and everything else.
Okay. We'll look, Mr. Jackson, Director of Public Works, who has traffic and engineering underneath him.
Yeah.
We'll take a look at that.
Now, a few years ago, they were supposed to put where Calhoun goes with Martin Luther King, yeah.
Yeah,
There's only a yield sign there, and a lot of them don't even stop.
Yeah.
They were supposed to put a light there.
Was that the county? Was the county?
I don't know. It's a split thing somehow or other. Because a couple times because I had the right of way. They don't even. I almost had an accident a couple times already.
I believe you. I believe you.
I mean, I don't want to put it down as it's going to be I'm going to die or something. You know, that's very important.
I believe you. Was there anything else?
And the truck stop sign up on for them to not come down Miller Street. On Brunswick, you have it facing the wrong way. It's facing, here's the thing, you got it facing this way. By the time the truck sees it, they're around the corner already coming down Miller Street. You got to face it towards Princeton, Brunswick Avenue. That's where you got to face it. Both ways, because I've watched them. They're around the corner before they see the sign.
These are 18 wheel trucks.
It's bad. I mean, we have a lot of trucks going through there because it's a shortcut to the recycle place. See, you gotta tell the trucking owners people, don't come down our street. We got new people down that have children, and I'm scared for that because they're out playing and you should hear them 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Something has to be done about that. Well, that's about all I got. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson, I'm sorry, yes, sir, Mr. Wong?
Mr. President, while Mr. Jackson is looking into that possibly public safety could be notified to put some speed traps there and do some monitoring.
Exactly. You got that correct?
No, that would be,
Yeah, you got to do something.
Yes. I'm sorry, yes, ma'am. Please take your name and address for the record.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Dee Perry, and I live 26 West Avenue in Trenton, New Jersey.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Perry.
And I appreciate the conversation being brought up concerning senior citizens and the quality of life and safety. I have been calling for the last 3 years. Matter of fact, I got a letter from the Honorable Senator Sherman and several members of the House of Representatives and also from our council and the police department in reference to New York Avenue and Sylvester. Now, I still have to walk out in the street, all my neighbors, and I'm glad that the matter is going to be looked into by our housing representative, director, and others. But I also had Mr. Frisbee has come around several times, and so is the Honorable Manny Segura and Honorable Gina Malone, and also the Honorable Passaic have come in. Even Mrs. Councilwoman State has come around to visit. And it's a devastating, dangerous situation when you have to walk out. And then there's one tree that's opposite of my house on Pulaski Alley. And I was told by my insurance company that if anything happens, oh God forbid, that's why I have to walk with a pot on my head when I go around. That if that tree comes down and anybody coming along, it's very dangerous. And I have pictures of it to show. All the way way up Sylvester, from Pulaski Alley to Sylvester Avenue, and also down on New York Avenue. When you come around that corner, there's a stop sign on the right, and there's a big old mulberry bush out there, and there's so many, it covers the sign, for one thing. It's out on the sidewalk. You have to walk in the street there. That's point number one. And when you come up there past my house, say, the Lord help you on your own mercy if you have to go up that street. Something needs to be done. That's where the sex, the drugs, and everything goes on at that time. Several of the neighbors have called the police, including myself. Also, Pulaski Alley is the same way. You have these here overgrown trees and all this wild vegetation shooting up in the air, and a mulberry tree hanging over in the alleyway. The street department has been very instrumental when I've called, and several of the neighbors have. They come around and try to clean up. But these are at the certain residential areas. Then these trees are coming out. And fortunately, I talked with Director Pucciati and also his assistant director in reference to wood. I mean, it's just a matter of time, God forbid, that hopefully we don't have a major fire or blackout. Some of the trees, the branches where PSE&G, I was told, would be notified in reference to that. As a matter of fact, some of the representatives, fortunately, are going to come around, and I'll stand in the background, but they will see firsthand what I'm speaking of. We're talking about for everybody, and it's very dangerous. And also New York Avenue, which I talked to the people that I called about a speed limit sign being put up. You see, especially coming south. Once you come off that Olden Avenue bridge and you make that left-hand turn coming south on New York Avenue, and then make that right on Sylvester, which is all these big 18-wheelers continue to come up that avenue. And there's little Tinkerbell signs posted up there, no more bigger than almost this. I mean, who in the world's going to see something like that? And as I've said here many a times, I even had to sit on a chair myself, and with the aid of the Hawks and PSE&G to direct traffic to go up Hillside Avenue, which I talked with the Honorable Manny Segura about, and also Mr. Jackson. I've called it to their attention, and I'm very glad to hear that something is going to be done about that. And also, I want to thank TerraCycle Company for helping with the cleanup and removal of this demilitarized-looking broken glass all shot up there like that. The Clark Company, I've got in touch with them to help remove the trees, which I have pictures of. Those old trees there, when you come on there, you'll have a break your neck with all them little honeysuckles coming out there in the alley. Somebody will have and then another thing, too. The main thing of it is, I'm opposed to speed bumps because of the conditions, the torrential conditions that we have during the winter, with the ice and snow and what have you. Those vehicles are subject to turnover. Now, when I worked in D.C., and I'm on the safety committee down there, and I'm also the safety committee with the Newark Airport, anything is liable to flip over when you're going at a high rate of speed. And if you're coming up Sylvester Avenue, which is an upgrade, that's another area. And also that left-hand turn, that left curve on the left-hand side, right across from my house. I have pictures of my vehicle, and I just thank God I go to my Mass and pray to Jesus that I wasn't in that fateful morning when my car was totally lost because it was another car that was parked there that should not have been, you see. But all these people, like I said, working with the corporation and what have you, I certainly appreciate everything. As a matter of fact, that manager of the TerraCycle Company called me direct, and I was very, very happy. And you know what? When people of this nature, they do things that are very positive, they should get complimentary letters, and it should be publicized. This is what we need from everybody in the city. Businesses, whether it's a private home or residential or rental or whatever, they deserve recognition when they do real good. And I thank you very much for your attention. And we all look for better times before coming, because I have my cocktail dress, and I'm going to shake, baby, shake. Hey, I will be out there. I'm going to do a whole lot of shaking around. Thank you all very much.
All right.
It's a wrap.
Let's go get your tough time, man.
Those are big pumps to fill.
Maybe
I'll be having to shake it.
Oh, that's
I'll put my group thing back on. I'd like to bring to council's attention that... I'm sorry. 104.4.
Just testimony.
If I know where I live, right?
There you go. Yes, sir.
I'd like to bring to council's attention that my term on the zoning board ends this month. I don't know know if you're trying to tell me something or if I was just completing the term of the person who I replaced, but, you know, June is half over. So that needs to be addressed.
Do you wish to be rejoined?
Oh, I certainly do.
Board counsel?
Yes.
And let's do that.
Oh, okay. Didn't know whether I had to do that. Right.
Continue on. Don't let this activity.
I would also like to throw rosebuds at the feet of Public Works for paving.
Who's gonna clean up the room?
That's all right. I'll let for paving Oak Lane. I no longer feel like I'm driving down the Ho Chi Minh Trail when I go down that street. So, all right. Thank you. That's it.
One second. Yes, sir. You got to please state your name and address.
My name is Joe Harrison,
Yes, sir.
15 Swan Street. I have a question. The Whitaker Park, there's a park ranger in there. There's usually a guy or a woman who controls, like when they're supposed to be in there working, who's watching them. Somebody keep an eye on.
There you go, right there.
The guy who works the park, he's always circling when he does his job. The woman, she sits in her car on her cell phone, just sitting in the car, just relaxing in her car on her cell phone.
Sound like a lot of cops.
She's got a little small gray car. She's got kind of
African American,
no, white. She's Caucasian. She's got short hair. It's like a little tiny little economy car. Yeah. Second,
What's the issue?
well, she sits in the car on the phone. There's kids in the park.
Okay.
The Whitaker bar, right? They have a lot of drunk people come out of that bar. They go over to the park. They fall asleep, and the kids are right there in the park. You know, that was one of my points too about the bar. Whitaker bar. It's actually Whitaker Liquor, is what it's called. They have prostitutes hanging out in front of it. They have underage kids going in there getting alcohol. Yesterday, the bar opened up at noon. 2 o'clock, guy comes out of the bar, goes across the neighbors, across my mom's house. He passes out on the sidewalk. So I thought he got mugged. So I go over to check on him. He's just drunk out of his mind. He gets up, walks over to the park, passes out on the bench.
A mess.
So she was supposed to be, looking at the park. She's sitting in her car, and here he is sitting over on the bench, passed out, with all these kids in the park. Exactly. Okay, and then here comes Saturday night. Saturday night, 10:45. We're at my mom's house, 42 Cove Street. I'm there. I hear all of a sudden all this noise outside my mom's house. Open the door up. I see this little tiny Guatemalan guy getting beat up by 3 of these little hood rats in the neighborhood, beating him senseless. He's bleeding all over. I run out the house, protect the guy. I grab him. He's screaming for help. I grab him, pick him up, put him on my mom's porch. The cops come. I go after him on my Jeep. They're walking right down Rolling Avenue. These guys, no, they're not running. They're walking. 3 of them walking down Rolling Avenue. The cops show up. I say to the cops, she says, where are they? They're walking right down Rolling Avenue. Go up, go around, come back to my mom's house. I'm on my Jeep. I'm like, what are you doing? I've been following behind them. They turn onto Anderson. They're walking down Anderson now. Well, we went down there. We didn't see them.
Of course.
So I said to them, get in the car. I'm in my Jeep. You follow behind me. I'll point them out to you. And if you want, I'll get out my Jeep and I'll make you arrest me. You can't do that. It's a shame. So I show them where they're at. They say, okay. They get out of the car. The woman who got out of the car, I was like, looking at my house, like, can this be true? You're a cop? I mean, you're bigger than me. And you're a female cop? Takes about 20 steps. The kid runs, gone. Goes back, forget it, goes back. They're talking to the guy. The guy who got beat up, he was so scared. I'm thinking he probably, because maybe he was an illegal alien. He got up, he's bleeding all over. He goes away, and I'm saying to myself, they're being victimized all around my neighborhood. The Guatemalans are getting picked on because most of them are illegal. They're getting robbed like crazy. These little thugs are running around intimidating people, unless you stand up for yourself. You know what I mean? But they're doing it all the time around. Then last night, my mom called the cops because these same thugs were trying to break in an abandoned house. 4:30 this morning, cops didn't show up.
Never showed up.
So what kind of training are we giving these police officers?
Empty outside. They're going to rob a car, break in their car. At 25 minutes to 5, I called Trenton Police Department, I did. I put my push rag out, and I stayed there, one in my door, we're watching them in the dark. And all of a sudden, another one comes down 10 minutes to 5, with a young kid, no more than 16 years old, 17, my right foot was, no more. And he goes into the yard with a black hat on and a black shirt and a briefcase. He said, come on, let's go. Let's go, we got something. They go across the park, but I called the police back at 10 minutes to 5. I said, there they go now, they're going down Emory Avenue. Is somebody going to come? We're after 5, I said, forget it, I'm going back on the way down. No cops showed up. No way. So what do we need Trenton Police for?
Well, my thing is, you know, I mean, the people now have, I had to come out and defend this guy who was doing nothing wrong on a bicycle. If I didn't come out and see him, they would have kicked his teeth in because he was bleeding all over.
Can you get some additional information for me in a minute with regards to specifically time and date? Because the officers came out there doing things. You had to point them out, and then they couldn't make an arrest.
My thing is, I tell you exactly where they're going. They're rolling out. They're walking. I give you a description of them. I tell you they're walking. I said, look right down there. That's them walking right there. And all of a sudden, you say, okay, I'm going to go look. Go around, boop, boop. They're right back there from start. So what, I mean, I know Director St. Iago sat here, said crime's down 27%. Is he taking into account all the Guatemalans, people that are getting beat the heck out of them?
Every weekend over there by the park, somebody's getting beat up.
Yeah, getting mugged. The gangbangers are moving in all like crazy, but nobody's doing nothing about it.
Nobody. I went up to my bedroom Saturday night at 4:11 when I seen this Guatemalan kid on the bike. He was about 18 years old coming from the meeting. I think he was a bus boy. He was not drunk. He was sober. And I opened my window and I heard these two Spanish kids and the black kid saying, he said, give me your extra money. And they drove him off the bike and I screamed for my son and I was on the phone with the police. Please come right away. They're beating this guy mother money. Nobody come right away. Nobody. And it's in Albany, no my foot.
The next time them little hood rats come around there, I'm letting the dogs loose on them. I'm letting the dogs loose on them.
That's right.
When those pit bulls rip their legs off, I don't want to hear nothing about no Bloods, no Crips, no Latin Kings, or any of that crap.
Well, Mr. Anthony, I would not ask you to take the law into your hands.
Well, nobody's helping us. What are we going to do?
For your safety and for the benefit of your family. Now, if you decide to do that, that is your choice, but this council can't advocate vigilantism.
Well,
what are we paying taxes for? We don't have any taxes for. Could you tell me why?
No, what I'm telling you is the police officers aren't doing their job. The police officers aren't doing their job. We need to notify the police director and get in contact with those officers to have some accountability in that area on issues specifically just like this. Specifically.
Speak.
Mr. Everett is going to go to Mr. Segura, followed by Mr. Cruz, followed by Mr. Malone, followed by Mr. Costa. One second. Mr. Evans, you want to respond to that? Segura, yes, sir.
I want to because her called me and she was actually crying on the phone and she told me around I don't know what was the time of that she told me I don't know what time she told me.
I told you 20 minutes ago.
So anyways you know it seems like when I talk about this issue here it goes one ear and out the other. But I've been addressing this issue here for years now. I just say, you know, Mr. President, and I've been asking and asking and asking and asking and asking. Nothing is done. It's not just this old lady here going through all that help, but also it's the fact that the dispatcher going and ask her for her lifetime and every little detail about her before this individual take what is eminent right now, you know. Hey, don't ask me for where I live, who I am, how old I am, and all that stuff. I am right now telling you that it's an emergency now. Act now. and do it. Because I got on the phone too and I called the dispatcher. Those particular dispatchers were already done. But I spoken with the supervisor and I told her, and she claimed that if he come to 18, but sitting right there, she didn't see nobody. So, at the meantime, it's not just her complaint day by day. But I tell you, Saturday I think it was, 3 fellows went to the Robin Market, that Chinese cafe. They went, fill up their belly, and start running. Now there's a gentleman there, and the guy worked for the police department. He called somebody, he called the police. The police never showed up to go after this individual either. So, you know, we live in some type of atrocious life all throughout, and I hate to say it though, because, you know, to appease things, we say, no, you know, this is happening everywhere. No. It is too much in the city of Trenton. And it's a mix of things that don't let the people here, you know, live in peace. We need quality of life here. I don't know what we need to do, but man, yes, we've been talking about, you know, we don't need no more police officers. I know that we are in negotiation right now. We need to know what's going to happen with these 4 on and 4 off. Because at any given day, we have 40 police officers less than what we should have. Okay, now, my thing is, Mr. President, are we going to, day by day, just let this thing, you know, just go on and follow code, or are we going to pay attention to the reality in our city? It's a reality. And you know what, though? As people have said often here, and all I like is to address Latino issues, that's a lot of BS. I address the concern of the citizen in the city of Trenton. But right now, let's be real. Those people are coming from work. Those people are not breaking any law. These people come dirty, working 3 jobs, 7, 8 o'clock, and they keep pay on it. And it doesn't matter what they do. They just get beat up and their money taken away. I brought to the attention of the administration, city council. For how long? Are we going to act? Are we going to do something about it? Are we going to look and see what is that we need to do from both levels, administration and city council? We need to put it in practice. We need to put it in place. We need to just stop just talking about it.
Yes.
Let's have some practice.
Yes.
Let's act. Let's be proactive. That's the only way that these folks out here going to feel a little comfortable living in the city.
But for that to happen, Director Santiago, every time I turn around, he's talking about the numbers are down. The numbers are down. Well, if the numbers are down, and I live in the city, and I see it every day with my eyes, I don't know what kind of numbers you're talking about. Maybe they're imaginary, or, you know. I mean, he did the same great thing in Newark. The numbers were down in Newark. And miraculously, when he left Newark, if you look, numbers automatically seem to, boom, go right back up. And now in the city of Trenton, I said, there's a lot of Guatemalan people that get mugged. They're afraid to report it, you know, when they get mugged, and nothing's done. Yeah. But like I said, the gangs they're moving in all around now. I see them all around my area now, because they're all over the city. But the slumlords are renting to them. They're like 20 of them in a house, and you see them sitting on the porch all night, and they're just doing what they're doing, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Mr.
President, couldn't they put a limit on how many get in a house? Mr. President.
Mr. King, Mr. King, yes, sir.
Listen, number one, we need to convene a commission of some sort to deal with immigration. Because the first thing that has to happen, whether they're undocumented or not, they have to have protection from this type of criminal element. You said it was 2 Hispanics and 1 black?
2
Let me tell you something. I said 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, that if we didn't deal with the immigration issue, the crimes perpetuated upon undocumented immigrants is going to increase, and it has. Because they cannot and will not report it. You can't count numbers that aren't reported. That's number one. They have to have some mechanism to report it. Mr. President, that's something that the council needs to have a conversation about with the legal advice as to where we can, how we can trail these events more. So, number two is we need the police officers. Trust me. And we have police officers, for the record, that are doing it phenomenally. I need to say that hard. So often when things go wrong like this, our police officers take the hit. But I want to tell you that there are many officers on the streets who are doing a heck of a job, say today, to ensure the safety of the residents of this city. Number three is this, Mr. President. I'd like to ask a question of Ms. Feisenbaum and to give the direction and legal. Are we in negotiations right now for our police officers? Yes, for the city police bargaining units. Then, Mr. President, I would recommend, if I may, that we be very careful with that, because these negotiations need to be clean, and they need to be able to move forward without emotion and getting the business at hand for the officers and residents of the city as well. And I only ask that simply because these folks have a legitimate concern. And the way I'm going to ask you to work with them directly and see that their concerns are dealt with. But I don't want to make, see, the bigger issue is immigration and how we deal with the problems that present with undocumented residents. The other issue is to ensure that when we call the police officers, that needs are met and the police respond. But, you got to balance that with off within the city. So they do respond. That's what because I'm with you, 100%. But the way we're doing conflict. So one of the things we need to do better is respond to these folks. Okay, so please, get with Ms. Evans, allow her the opportunity to assist you. Then if your needs are met, this is a forum that's always available. So please, allow her the opportunity. Okay?
I have a cousin that has a son on the beach there. There's a big show on the beach there, too. Birkenheiser. They know him. Everybody knows him.
Allow Ms. Evans to help you. We're with you. Okay?
When these crimes are committed, they used to, when I was growing up, when people committed crimes, they would run away. Now they're committing crimes and then walking away.
Okay. I'm asking you, number one, having so much crime watching around, TCCA is right there. They can help you with some of that stuff. Reach out to them and Ms. Evans, please assist these residents to ensure that they need their money. But they have a legitimate concern. I just don't want their negotiations to get into a battle about our system. But they're here for me. Okay, most of them. And so, Ms. Evans is going to assist you.
You want to follow by Mr. Costa?
Yes, Mr. President, if I may, actually, comments directed at Jane. I'm going to take a stroll back memory lane. When Councilman Cipriano was serving on the City Council, he did make a comment that directors should be made available to council during council meetings to address concerns. One concern that I don't think there's ever been one council meeting that hasn't come up in the city is crime. And yet when I look around the room, and no disrespect to Dwayne here, who works for the mayor's office of citizen concerns, there's not a representative of the police department here to address police issues. I see Mr. Jackson. If Mr. Jackson's not here, Mr. Allen's here. I see Frankie Rios from Mr. Cruciati here. Concerns came up as far as Director Schools Department. No one's here. I know Mr. Frisbee is always seated back here. But yet policing being such an important issue, and one of the not one meeting that it's not brought up by a resident or a council member, and yet no one's here representing the police department. I know there's representation at the public hearings. Possibly they're not aware that the public can also speak at the council conference sessions, but I feel that a representative of Director Santiago should be president council meetings to address these concerns. You cannot respond to an issue like that because you are not a representative of that department, nor can DeWager, nor can a council member actually, but a representative of Director Santiago can. So if you can please have that for future meetings, I would appreciate it. Representation from every department so that when a concern comes up, there is someone here from that department, especially police, present to respond to the concerns.
Thank you.
Also sent a letter off to Director Santiago and installed the park. I also want to ask her about that park. The lights go out at a certain time. That makes it a very tempting one for folks to stay and watch the stuff. Can we do something about having some lights on?
We have to discuss, and we've gotten actually some complaints from people who live in the area that say they want the lights off. They complain that the fountain was going too long and the lights were on too long. And they live on the park and they don't want it on. So, I mean,
The street lights never shut off. The fountain lights and the silver lights shut off, but the street lights stay on the street lights.
Must be the person blind. Also, City Clerk, I don't think we can look at his own line. When that comes up, you call me about
Right, all of this. All of this. I think I might invite him. They speak passionately.
It's where it snaps, and it's based on movement, it's based on movement, so it's whatever is required, that'll snap movement from day on there. And that way you have some, balance and security, there it is, exactly, yep, okay. Please, that's it,
I'm sorry, we started over here.
I know,
Everybody
yeah.
said-
Alicia Welch, check there, 1405 Scientific Avenue.
Yes, ma'am.
When people brought up different boards and commissions in the city, it reminded me that I submitted an open request on the 13th of this month. And while I don't expect to have all the information, I did actually two open requests. One, asking for information on our boards, commissions, and bodies in the city of Trenton, whether they're active or inactive, who are serving on them, so on and so forth. A great deal of information. Another, asking for all correspondence from former economic development director, Blair, regarding the town center. But I know you have 7 days to get back to me to let me know the status, if you have the information, and it's been over 10 days, 9 days actually. So this is what we will find status and we'll provide the information.
You will be getting a letter in terms of the professional assistance.
Okay.
So you're going to have to pay for not only the staff time, the IT department time to go back to the city, but time that is
Okay.
and you're very expensive.
Okay, I just
So you know that ahead of time.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're going to get a letter soon about basically.
I just think the law is that I would take a copy of the staff time or something that was not available, but I'll review that. And also,
It would just be extraordinary.
Okay.
Not something that's readily available. First off, more the housing and economic development.
But it is
back.
Why should she have to pay for staff?
What degree is going to be available is another question, but they're going to have to go back to the computers in the IT department to find that information. About time paying the cost of those things.
okay, for
Go ahead, Ms. Stewart.
In terms of what parking and finding and stuff are going to be, was that for the cashiers as well as the... No, the other part is taking time because it's not something that is kept. I don't know about the mayor's office, but it's not something that's kept readily available for an update back in person.
Oh, really? Okay, so it's not really acceptable for citizens to find out who's serving on the board of commissions.
Right, they're not past information, so it's going to take a while to
I did check.
I just asked a question, what type of past information on the board's portion and commissions you asked for?
Right, I did ask for a list of all of the meetings, locations, dates and times for the past 18 months. So I did that. That's what you're referring to, look at information on these little kinds of things.
why it's not kept, I can't answer that.
Okay. So I did for the last 18 months as well as future meetings through the end of the year.
For example, you would want to know, like, let's take the parking authority for example. You want to know the members who are present on the parking authority?
Yeah.
One. So, you want to know 18 months worth of meetings that they've had.
Right.
And to that extent, you can get the name of people who are on the board, but they don't submit the meeting notices and what action they took or their documents. It's submit over their annual meeting schedule.
Right, so Mr. President, actually, if the letter is drafted to each, like, for instance, parking authority, Mr. Pecci, stating, please forward to this office per request the prior past 18 months of minutes, and to each...
Assuming it would take a number of...
It would take time to compile, but I'm sure they do have the minutes, and 18 months doesn't seem like a long period.
Well, that's not a depository here. I think that's what Penny said. That's not a depository.
I understand it's not kept in the clerk's office, but a letter would have to go out per that OPA request to each, whatever commission and board she has requested for that
Now, like
information.
the housing authority, for instance, they have all their minutes filed and machines on display on record. I guess the other question is, maybe I'm not clear with the OPA, is the clerk is the top responders with the term, so they couldn't necessarily go to that agency, and then the clerk makes his contact. So that is the definition.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
See that we have motion for public comment? All right. Mr. Frisbee, you've been patient, and we appreciate that, sir. Let's move into your presentation with regards to our park master plan. Yes, sir. Appreciate your name and kind of
Samuel Frisbee, Director for the Department of Recreation, Natural Resources, and Culture.
And we're joined by the Director of Division of Natural Resources.
That's correct.
What's your name for the record?
Jean Shadow.
For the record. Welcome, Ms. Shadow. Welcome, Mr. Director. Yes, sir.
Mr. President and Council, thanks for having me here today. I must apologize first. Due to some conflicts in my own schedule and being out of town, I just returned last night and could not prepare for you the way that I would have liked to prepare for you. I do not have handouts for you today. But many of you have been here for the Cat Water Park Plan, which is what you wanted information on tonight. And we're going to give you as much of a comprehensive look as we possibly can. For those new council members who are hearing it for the first time, and for those of you who've been around for a while and have heard it many times, we just want to give you an open look at it and where we are in the process right now. As many of you know, in 1998, under the leadership of Mayor Douglas H. Palmer, we started a look. We hired a landscape architectural firm to take a look at developing a plan for Cadwallader Park. In April of 1999, the plan was completed. On that plan committee were several political leaders. We had Honorable Council President who sat on that committee. We had churches, civic group leaders, some of which are actually in the room now. There's a lot of people who sat on that particular planning committee. Take a look at this.
What came out of it was a comprehensive look at what Cadwallader Park used to look like, which is a park that was actually designed in 1891, and what it looks like now, and what we want it to look like in the future. And what came out of that was a $20 million plan, and now this was in 1989, $20 million plan that we were to embark upon. To date, we've probably spent about $5 million on the park since 1998. A lot of that capital dollars. We also a $2.6 million grant that we just received, actually 2.3, 300,000 of it was matched from the city, from Green Acres money. So in total, about $5 million has been spent on the park. When you look at what the overall theology of the park was, it really was to take what Frederick Law Olmsted had developed in his original plan and what his theology was on park, and at least take the park back somewhat in that direction. It's not going to look exactly like what he wanted it to look like. When you look at the initial plan, you think we complain about trees now. His initial plan for Cadwallader Park was 27,000 trees. In the plan, in the overall look that Director Shadow had done, I believe it was back in 99, there were about 1,700 trees that were looked at, and that was about 50% of the total number of trees that were in Cadwallader Park at that particular time. So it's not going to look exactly like what Frederick Olmsted wanted it to look like, but we did want to kind of follow his thought process and his theology of what that particular park should look like. Some of the things that the plan came up with were for park-wide renewal, a park management plan, which Director Shadow would definitely be able to talk to in a second, a security plan, access and circulation, which really calls for the movement of some streets, or movement of actually the road pattern in the park, recreational activities and facilities, animal management, changing of some of those structures, updating of many of the structures in the park. The project areas, the Ellerslie Cafe, the canal picnic area, the animal paddock. These are things that were in the plan. This plan that was very comprehensive, about 100 pages long, a lot of incredible work that it calls for, and a lot of great work that has already been done. It talked about phasing the plan in. Part of phase one was Ellerslie, which you signed off on much work that's been done on Ellerslie so far. The performance area, which is directly across from Ellerslie, and calls for rebuilding that. But in order to actually get to that, you have to talk about realigning the roads, because you can't do that portion until the roads are actually realigned, which is part of that whole infrastructure component. And there are a lot of other plans. Actually, we have somebody doing some work right now, developing a plan on just some of our infrastructure needs in the park, which are great, because it's 100 years old. Wasn't built to withstand time like some of the things that are built to withstand time now. Landscaping restoration, Parkside Avenue entrance, which we know really needs to be upgraded, but kept within that same genre. Some of the projects that have been completed, restoration of historic maintenance to the barn, $100,000 in capital money. Restoration of West End's restroom, $90,000 in capital money. Irrigation of the clay courts over at West End over in the West End Little League side, $45,000 in capital money. Men's unlimited basketball courts, refurbishing, $200,000 in capital money. Tennis courts upgrade, $75,000 capital money. Multi-purpose field restoration, $125,000 capital funds. Been a lot of capital funds expended in this project already, but one of the things that this group understood when they came together was that the city would not be able to bear the brunt of this burden alone, and federal dollars for some of the things that we need to do have dried up. And so it's really going to take an influx and a real shot in the arm of some private funding to make some of this happen. And there is a group that is looking into developing their own 501c3 to be able to go after funds just for this purpose. And the city has looked at helping with some other projects that will also allow us to go after some private dollars. So there's a lot of work that is going on. There's a lot more work that needs to be done. And like I said, Director Shadow can probably talk to some of the ecosystem and street management issues, some things that were in the plan that were designed. I think that one of the things that I really agree wholeheartedly with when I look through the plan is the fact that we talked about creating a division within the division of natural resources that really truly dealt with the park itself. You know, because the park, I mean, 109 acres of parkland, that's a big park. You know, and so there's a lot to deal with there. And they really talked about someone who administratively totally just looked over the park. And I have to tell you, being a new Trentonian, I know that folks here would tell me that no matter how long I'm here, I'll never be a true Trentonian because I wasn't born here. But having lived here for 4 years, I just recently got an opportunity to kind of walk the canal. That park is an incredible treasure. You know, I mean, just looking at what is available within that park that is not available to most